In today's video, I'm going to show you 2 ways to escape side control if somebody on top of you is bigger and stronger. When it comes to escaping positions in general, we have to understand that there are what we call like levels to escape in. What I mean by that is it's not always going to be a situation where the person's on top squeezing down and there's no space, right? Depending on this person's experience and depending on their ability to react accordingly, they're going to have multiple chances to escape the position. However, the longer they take, the more difficult it's going to be. So for instance, if we're talking like a side control position, right? Could be street, could be sport. If I start getting to the side control spot and I have all this space, he's able to start working his frames. Even notice like his frames, he's able to fully extend these arms a little bit more too, right? So he's able to push off on those arms, he's able to work his legs in, he can recompose, he can pull guard, whatever the case is, but he has an easier opportunity to escape that position as a whole. If I start working in and getting like a cross face position, I start lowering my weight a little bit, he may not be able to fully extend those arms, but he's still able to get a good frame into place, which allows him to create the space to once again get his knees, shins, and again, he can recompose. We often get asked the question, well, what if the person's bigger or stronger than you, right? It doesn't necessarily even have to be somebody bigger than you. It could just mean that they're past everything. They've secured, let's say, an underhook, a crossface. They're completely on top of you, squeezing. The chest is pressing down onto your chest. My head is nice and tight, and essentially, I'm not giving them any space to work. So even if Cash had some strength, he's not necessarily able to create this space as easily compared to when there was a little bit more space. And again, the bigger, stronger the person is on top, the more difficult it is for him to escape in those positions. So again, I'm gonna show you 2 ways to escape out of this if the person on top is bigger. Understand this though, both of these moves require you to do the motions in one movement and you have to explode with it. Let's just assume Cash is bigger, stronger than me. Again, he's got all the space compressed. I'm not able to work my frames in as easily. So again, I'm gonna break this down into multiple movements, but once again, when you do this live, we have to do it as close as possible to just one motion. I have to understand, I need to get this arm to the opposite side of his body. Now again, I'm not going to be able to just kind of work this arm in, especially if he's got this leg nice and tight. It's going to be very difficult for me to get this arm in. I may not even be able to get this frame right away. But what I'm looking to do, even if I can, like if I can get a little bit of a frame, that's great. But all I'm looking to do at this point is to kind of just explode up into him. Now, the biggest thing that I see with people when they're fighting somebody bigger is they're just kind of wasting all their energy trying to move, and this person's just holding down. So I have to be smart about this, and I'm going to explode. But I'm doing it for one job only, and that's to free this arm. So what I want to do is I'm going to use everything I got, place my feet firmly again. Whether or not I have this frame, that's just a bonus, but I'm going to just drive in him a little bit. And what I'm looking to do is as I drive into him, I know he's gonna immediately look to compress me right back down. So as I drive up, I'm gonna take that outside arm, shimmy it all the way around to the other side so that when he collapses back down, I've got this arm free. Now, right away from here, again, this is where we're talking about, like I'm showing it to you as 2 movements, but it has to be one. The moment I land, my feet are now going to shift closer to his head. If I do this as like a second movement, he's gonna see that my feet are shifted and he's gonna start adjusting accordingly, exactly. So once we've freed this arm, my feet immediately are gonna transition here. This arm, you can kind of keep it on the head a little bit, but it's gonna disappear. This hand, I want to shoot it behind their armpit. And what I'm looking to do is completely turn into him. Essentially, I'm looking to come up into a front headlock position, but now I'm going to explode again with my feet. I'm driving this arm behind their armpit as I start kind of bellying down, and I'm looking to come all the way up into a front headlock position. Now, this is the ultimate goal. If I can get up into this position, that is great, because then from here, you know, we have endless chokes. I can work back control, whatever the case is. Worst case scenario is that as I'm coming up, he kind of acknowledges that I'm exploding up, he backs off a little bit, and we kind of end up in a neutral position, which again, for sport, that's fine. In the street type situation, I might just pop back up to my feet from there or land a couple strikes, whatever I need to do. Now the second motion, once again, we have to kind of do this in one explosive movement, but it's gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna depend on how this person's knees are. Now in this case, notice that his knees are kind of spread out a little bit or like sprawled a little bit, and all this allows him to do is remain a little bit more in balance. So what I need to do in this position, right, initially I'm going to kind of lock my hands down, one arm again, assuming he's got the underhook. I'm going behind the head, behind the arm, locking my hands, whatever grip, doesn't matter. But I'm applying nice and tight pressure, and then I also want to utilize this outside shoulder and kind of turn his head towards me a little bit just to make it a little bit more difficult for him to, I guess, control this position. Now again, if his knees are sprawled, what I need to do is actually take my feet. Again, he's going to be trying to hold me down. I'm just going to kind of shimmy myself a little bit just to kind of offset his knees, and I know he's going to be trying to keep up. When I notice that his knees are no longer in a sprawled position, what I'm going to do right away is take that outside arm. I'm looking to trap the knee. Now this arm again, once again, is exploding behind the head. And all I'm looking to do now at this point is essentially hip bump this direction and completely come up and over the hips. And as I explode, I'm gonna come all the way around, end up on top, and now I've just taken side control. So again, lock the grip nice and tight. If his knees are already in this position, then you can right away just kind of explode here. But again, as I'm doing this motion, I have to drive my hips right away, and then we right away walk around the side, come all the way up, and work around on top. So again, understand that there are levels to escaping positions, just depending on how quickly you're able to react. So in this case, if someone, regardless of the size, if they manage to completely secure the position, apply a lot of pressure, you have both of these movements. But once again, you have to do them in one explosive movement. And at the very least, hopefully you can kind of create a scramble and get out of the position either way. Stay safe.